know how to parent, but at home, right? My kids are looking at me and whatever you're saying, we don't see it here at home. How do you able to say that I am now heading in the right direction? What are the measures or success factors or the things to look
You want a similar one for parenting?
Yes, for parenting, yes. Yeah.
Unfortunately, I have to disappoint you. There are none. It means you must bring up, and if you go to my YouTube account, John N. Nganga, I've given various talks on parenting and fatherhood. And there are things I emphasize, but they are not foolproof. Because you need to understand, once your children become adults, salvation is not inherited. It cannot even be parented. Each person must make a decision to love the Lord. Like that lady was brought up in a Tukutere fellowship, even before she knew herself. But she didn't have to become born again. She made a choice. Am I right, sister?
Yes.
So it means that there is nothing you can say when your children are old and born again and praising the Lord. We did well. You are not foolish parents. If you are clever, you'd know the Lord saved them. And glory goes to God. That's why you find a family where you are 4 of you, 2 are crooks, 2 are working with the Lord, but you are brought up in the same family. Surely, was there anything your father did not do to all, or your mother? And you have to admit no. But we made decisions. So salvation is not an automatic pin that you can say, if I do this, my children will walk with the Lord. That's why it started by telling you will disappoint, I'll disappoint you. But you are running currently, and I think I've been sending some of your invitations, a monthly discussion on parenting called Daddyhood. Teresi, I've invited you, isn't it? And there's a group of people who have decided to, every month, 3 couples that are old, and I'm the youngest, because the next one is 48, and the third one is 50. So we are the youngest couple in the group of 3 couples that are addressing it. We are trying to address that issue of parenting. Having said all that, you have a duty to your children to train them in the fear of the Lord. And if you don't, the measure is not whether they become good or bad. Because I've just told you that's not a good measure. It's the Lord himself. He knows the truth. That you abandoned your children when you should have been bringing them. They were brought up by your wife, the husband was not available at all. When they turn out bad, let's be clear, God will hold you accountable. So why must you bring up your children in the fear of the Lord? Because of fear of God. Not because of the way they turn out, but the fear of God. Because God requires you to actually do it. But let me quickly say, whereas that is true, I want to give you a personal experience. You understand that if you don't allocate adequate time to your children, when they turn out bad, you will not enjoy your old age. I still remember living in Kisumu with a family that was much older than us, and the wife had a diploma. Then she got a scholarship to go. Before we met, got a scholarship to go to Britain to do a degree. So she left a 2-year-old child. Then I think she went for 3 years, I don't know, I can't remember. And then came back. When they came to the Oda Bakazi airport, her interest was on her baby. The moment the baby is now a big boy in nursery school, the baby saw a strange woman coming for him, he ran. They ran at each other at the airport. Because the boy did not understand what a strange woman is coming. He is happy with his father. Does not expect the mother anywhere because he cannot remember ever seeing the mother. We met when that same boy was now a teenager and he was on drugs. And the mother was telling us, I regret ever going to Britain. We tried, but I tried to tell her, no, there are many people with children taking drugs and they never went to Britain. No, I know the truth. Don't try to discern. I know the truth. Is my going to Britain that sports so and so? Several years forwards, I visited them in Mombasa. They were now retiring. And I asked about the boy. Now he was an old man in his 30s. He was still at home, a cabbage. The drugs have totally destroyed him. What do you think the parents, now they are both dead. What do you think their old age was? Do you know you can end up with the same problem of your children being drug addicts, terrible. But if you know you did what was right, you will still regret, but you will not be in pain. Am I communicating? Yes. So that's why it's moral. But let me now say my third point, that these things I'm saying are not easy. Why? At the time your children are young, is when you are trying to progress career-wise, isn't it? And at the same time you need to be with your children. Because let me tell you, you are entering, all of you are entering an age where you are available to your children and they are not available. You know, when our children were in university and high school, I got an international job where I was covering 10 countries. So it's out of the country, but we have a habit of ringing every night, whichever country I was in. So I ring, said, how is it? I'm all alone, Rebecca tells me. But you have 2-3 adults with you. 3 adults, they are not trapped in their rooms. I call them and they ask, Mama, what do you want? She says, then they are back in the room. She realized, that's when she realized, I'm the only friend. It's important to understand that if you become, even if you resign from your job and be available to your children, especially in old teenage, you will be alone in the house. The only time resigning a job can make a difference is before your children are teenagers. After they are teenagers, even if they are available, they themselves are not. Now they treat you like a bank. Papa, can you give me 100 shillings? Once you give, they are gone. Now, you have teenage children, am I right? Yes. And yet, when they were younger, you arrive at the door and they jump on you. Yes. Say, no, let me rest. No, Papa. Now, you thought it will always last. Now as teenagers, they greet you, hello, how's the day? Yes, and they run to their room. Am I describing your teenagers? Yes. So can you see, even if you become available, it is too late. Fortunately for all of you, even if the first one is a teenager, there is another one who is not yet teenager. Now can you see what you need to do? Yes. It means you have to restructure your business, your life, to be available, because you know it will not last so long. What that means is that you might delay your promotions. That means you offer a promotion, you say, no, not now. Because you are a fool. How can you refuse? Yes, my children are at this age, I would rather you give it to somebody else. Then, when they hit the age where they don't even want you, say, hey, where is that promotion you promised me? Okay, next time we'll give you. Do you know what I discovered? It may delay your promotions. That means your friends might reach top management at the age of 40. You reach at the age of 50. Both of you, when you're in your 50s, will be in top management. If the thing that delayed you was simply you are not available, you will still end up in top management. But he will enter in 40s, you enter in 50. When you're retiring, both of you are in the boardroom. Will it matter who entered earlier? So it's important to understand he will be in the boardroom regretting that he never was available to his children. You will be in the boardroom late, but happy that you invested in your children. So I'm not telling you how to check because I told you I don't have that. I'm telling you what to do. 3 things. Number 1, ensure they know God. You can't ensure they have accepted him, but you can ensure they know God. And that means all round. That means you cannot have any debate about your family altar. It's not voluntary, it's compulsory. You know, when 844 started, it is your generation that started 844. Am I right? Yeah. Now, people, one day we met another couple and said, what did you do about family altar? I said, what about it? You can't do that thing. The children have so much homework. We look at each other, we say, at no time had we thought it is possible to eat food if you can't eat spiritual food. And our children are clear. They say, you have homework. Let's read the Bible quickly. They are the ones forcing us to read the Bible. Because they want to go back to their work. Because they know there is no way we shall eat physical food without spiritual food. It is important that you understand. After that, they may choose never to do it. But you did your part. Anyway, so the first thing is you are bringing them in the fear of the Lord. Number two, which is very important, is teaching them interpersonal skills. How to relate with one another. The home is a microcosm of the world. And it's important for them to know, for example, social etiquette that includes, you can't take your sister's dress without her permission. You cannot eat your brother's mandazi without his permission. You know, you teach them to be careless with each other at home. Your sister. No, I can't say it's your sister. No. Boundaries need to be taught early. That was that part of the social etiquette. Teaching people to respect each other, to know the boundaries and not cross them without the permission of the other person. That is the work of parents, to help the child to understand. And they say, asiyefunzwa na babake, yeah, it's your responsibility. And it's in the scriptures. And it will be very important. And that needs to be done very, very, very well. Thirdly and importantly, if you are a parent, it will be very important that the child learns how to look after his body. It's your responsibility to teach them the importance of eating right, the importance of having rest, the importance of exercise. All that is very, very important. Where do I get it from? I get it from book of Luke, chapter 2, verse 52. Jesus grew in all the four ways. He grew in wisdom, intellectual development. He grew in favor with, he grew in stature, physical development. He grew in favor with God, spiritual development. He grew in favor with men, social, interpersonal skills. That's how Jesus grew. And that's how your children should also grow. I know I haven't answered the real question, but I hope what I said helps. Okay.
Another question?
Yes?
Take you back to the issue of oneness. Socially in one is the issue of the name.
Don't take me seriously. I know that you are unlikely to change. So it's okay even if you are not named one. But I wanted you to deal with the next generation. But now ask your question. You know it's not one of those critical. You know there are important issues. That's less important. But still, to ask your question. I've answered. Okay then. Yeah, because for sure, the principle is what matters more than the application. And the principle is you must be seen as one. And having different names makes it much easier for you to pretend not to be married. You want to create an impression, even if you want to pretend you can't. You can't. But having different names, like if you have called your village name, nobody knows it who was with you in university. Nobody knows in your place of work. Only your villagers know that you are called that name. Like if Rebecca was to be called Mrs. Dongo, would you associate her with me? You've never even heard the name, have you? I doubt. You have heard it?
No, I haven't.
Yeah. So if she went being called Mrs. Dongo, I don't know everywhere she goes, you're missing her. Might you be associated with John Nanga? And that's where the discussion starts. So I think it's a very, whereas it's not critical, it is important that you create in ways that people know. And even if you are known officially, you are known differently. It's good to introduce yourself as Mr. and Mrs. one name, so that people can associate you with one another. But like I said, the Bible doesn't say thou shalt be called one name. So I cannot tell you you have broken the thing. The one thing I know is that you need to be seen as one. But how you do with it is not biblically detailed. Okay.
I have a question
Yes?
on, I think, friendship and transparency. I appreciate your emphasis on friendship. I think along the midlife crisis comes with the dragging of the friendship, I think. But sometimes I find that you ask when you came, you ask why we sit like this. Ask ladies call it therapy sessions. You know, when I'm sitting here with them, talk the three of us and discuss, so did you hear? Did you hear? And sometimes there are issues that we may know as ladies. Maybe she may hear from me, or something that maybe I share with ladies.
That's why she's your friend.
Yes, looking for support and all. And I think sometimes we find ourselves in a place where we are not comfortable.
They are together, you are together.
Yes.
And you feel happy
And
about it.
sometimes we actually do it on purpose. You know, let's just help the ladies, because there are things I will tell the ladies that even if I tell the lady, he will not appreciate or feel it the way I want it felt.
I understand you.
Yeah.
Young people say, I feel you.
Yes. Yes. And sometimes you're not looking for a solution. You're just looking to be felt.
It's called empathy.
Yes. So I think there's always that thing of, okay, now we have talked, and I go home, and Maurice is waiting. So how was the meeting? And you know...
And you say everything else except the real deal.
And I was wondering, what are the boundaries? You know, listening earlier on, and I was like, are we on the right track? You know, yeah. Or
Yes, very-
things
Yeah.
that would actually now come later to destroy us.
Let me say something. Now, clear without any fear of contradiction.
Yes.
If the closest friend you have is another woman, there's a problem in your marriage.
Oh, wow.
Because the intention of God is to give you a helpmeet. Didn't you read that in the Bible? Yes. So the closest person you have, I'm not saying is supposed to be your spouse. It is a person you can open up. In fact, I don't know who is a lawyer among us, but we are told in law, the law of Kenya, you cannot force a wife to talk, to give a witness against her husband. Because like asking somebody to implicate himself. Because the wife is supposed to know everything. So you can't force her. Can you see the law knows that the one who is supposed to know everything about you is your spouse? If it turns out there's another woman there who is the one who knows, can you say it's a problem? Because you'll be forced to testify against you. Because she's not your spouse. So you need to have, and I'm now not talking about the reality, I'm talking about the standard. The standard is the person who is supposed to be your closest companion, the one you are totally transparent with, is your spouse. Beyond that, you cannot be transparent with others, but they are secondary. The primary person you share your feelings with. Now, if the situation has not reached that level, it's okay. In the rating, you rate it as a 2. And that's not bad. The next question is, how can we bring it to a 5? Because there is something that the men do that causes you not to open up. And you need to point to it. Think together, what is it that makes it easier to talk to a woman more than my spouse? And if he works on it, he will make it easier for you to open up next time. So we are not condemning you. We are not condemning the women for wanting to be with each other. We are only saying it is not standard. And many marriages are destroyed because of that women thing. Because the woman tells you how wonderful her husband is, and you can't meet her standard. And within no time you say, I am shortchanged. My husband can never reach that standard. Do I give up? That's why sometimes you don't want to be difficult with women who have divorced. But if you listen to them enough number of times, you yourself become divorced. Have you noted that? Because there's a level you start, I understand you. The distance from understanding to you being like that is very narrow. So you need to be where you listen to women because you must. And there's nothing wrong with it. But you must counter-check them with your spouse. And they know, even women know, that you respect your husband, you love your husband, and there's nothing they can tell you, but don't tell your husband. You want me to be a sinner? When you start telling me things not to tell Rebecca, I tell you, please, stop. Don't share beyond that point. Because the scriptures don't allow me to hide it from her. The only thing is when I tell her that information the owner did not want us to share with others, but it will be very important to understand that there shouldn't be things which the wife knows which she cannot tell the husband. And why are you doing all that? The scriptures saying they shall be one. The scriptures also say they will be naked and nobody feeling ashamed. So I agree with you on a practical level, you are right. On a standard level, the standard has better be that. You know, I did a BCom in the 1970s. Now when I did a BCom, we were told the theory of perfect competition in economics. After we had studied, I asked, is there a market that ever practiced it? We were told there has never been an economy anywhere in the world that has ever practiced perfect market. You know, perfect market means the customers know everything about the suppliers, and the suppliers know everything about customers, and the customers know about each other. It doesn't exist. Then why are you teaching us? So that you know how far you are from the perfect. That's exactly what we are here. You still need to know the perfect. Then oligopoly is not quite that one. Monopoly is not quite that. And you know how far you are. But you are all working towards the perfect competition. But you can see clearly the dangers of having another man. In fact, men are the worst ones. We are going to talk to the boys. What do they talk? How useless women are, how difficult women are. And even mine is just like yours. Terrible. Now, by the time you arrive home, you're looking at her. Yes, I know. I accept you the way you are. After all, you're So we are not suggesting in any way that men should not talk together. We are only saying they shouldn't have things they think women cannot understand, cannot know. In fact, even the one in the Bible, the difficult woman who used to ask questions at the wrong time, was not told not to ask. He was told to ask at home. So the information must flow from both parties. Is it easy to practice? No. Is it important to practice? Yes. Have I answered your question? I'm not asking did you agree with my answer. I simply said did I? Yes. Okay. We still have minutes before it is. We still have another 5 or so minutes before 1 o'clock, as per Teresia's clock.
I have a question.
Yes.
Which is somehow in line with what Justice was asking. You told us that even children should be treated as strangers.
Visitors is a better word. Please promote them from strangers to visitors.
And you also indicated that even in their teenage, they learn us and they know who to manipulate. And this week, I was talking to my daughter, and one of the things she was telling me, I love you sometimes you are, when you say no, it's a no. No, at least that it knows you have
Can you see? She knows you.
So these important visitors, so that we can speak one voice. How do we handle that?
First of all, they need to know, I'm saying 3 things. Number 1, they need to know that what they told you will be told to the mother. The more they know that you are likely to share, they will be careful what they tell you. Because they know it will be known. You know, they ask for money, when they ask the father for money, if they know you tell that you gave money, then they cannot manipulate. So the first thing is, let them be aware. Let them see that even whatever they tell you, finally will be told to the father. Now once they understand that, that will help. Number two, when they ask for something critical, always say, let me check that with your dad. So they know you can't make a decision quickly. If it's not a matter of life and death, if it's not a panga falling on them, Mama, may I move? Now that one you have to tell them. Any other thing, you can tell them, your papa is coming on the weekend. I'll discuss that matter with him. Now when they know that, they may even wait for the weekend to ask both of you. Because they know there's nothing. So it's important for them to know you'll ask. If it's a man, the men are the more difficult. Because they don't want to look like they are not the heads of the form. So they don't want to say, I'm going to consult your mother. Surely you are the head. What are you consulting our father? So if the father learns to say, that one I need to check with your mother, it will soon create in them, these people you can't manipulate them. Thirdly, when they actually have manipulated you and it has happened, call a family meeting. And let them know that the days of Aviva, we finally discovered you manipulated us. And they need to come out clear that what they did was not right. Obviously, by the way, once they become teenagers, even if they are old, they will still play the same games. So it's not a matter, it's a difficult thing. That's why this issue is so important, to understand that children are not part of your marriage. They are important visitors, they are long-term visitors, but they are still visitors. That way, when they actually have their own marriages, you are not going to interfere with it. Because you know they are not part of your marriage. It's two marriages visiting each other. Like when I now visit my daughter's family, I'm visiting another family. They are not my family. And we respect each other. I'm a visitor there, so I can't start behaving like I'm at home. You know, there are people using a new term. She is my mother-in-law. That's total nonsense. You see, the reason why my son-in-law is my son is because Wambui married him. I know Wambui when Wambui was a baby. I can remember her. I know her. But when my son-in-law says something, I can very easily misunderstand, isn't it? Yes. See, if I'm too free with him, I could easily hurt their marriage. Do you know what your father told me? I was joking, but he misunderstood the joke. The same joke with my daughter is not on. So that word is a dangerous word, and I'm really discouraging people using it. Your daughter in love. It will make you freer than you should be. There is a level, there is a level in which you must allow some distance between you and your in-law, daughter or son, so that you maintain respect. Are we together? And that being is worldwide. Go to the Chinese, same challenges. Go to British, same challenges. Because your interference would destroy. In fact, DESTA did a study, 2018, the results come out. Next time you can check with the DESTA. The study showed 30% of all separations and divorces are caused by in-law interference. And that interference becomes more when you start talking about my daughter in love. So you become careless. Does that mean you are not friends? Yeah, my mother died not too long ago. And they were great friends, very great friends in fact, towards the end, because she got cancer in her 80s, towards the end, I used to ask my wife about my mother, because they were closer than I was with her. That's how close they were. But she was always mother-in-law. Am I communicating? So it does not mean the title stops you being close. It just means you are aware. This lady does not know me the same way my mother? Yes. Have I answered your question? Yeah.
I have a question.
Yes.
Now that you have the privilege of being a grandfather, what is your view on naming?
What is?
Your view of naming. Would you have your grandchild named after you?
I say, by the way, I've written it in a book. is called Christianity and Culture. Christianity and Culture is dealing with the resurgence of, especially in Mount Kenya area, we are calling it a resurgence, where all of a sudden, what we went through when we were marrying, people respect our Christianity. Today, if you marry in Central Province, they are forcing you to have to do things the traditional way. Am I right? And it's a religion. You cannot, it is not difficult, it's impossible to be a Christian and join that religion. They are different. Totally different. So I have to write a book about it. So in my book I argue, for every custom you must ask why. The why is the one that will help you make a decision. For example, Gurario. Because some of you are the age where you are doing Gurario. What is Gurario? In Kikuyu, it's a Kikuyu thing. Gurario is a Kikuyu marriage. So if you marry in church, you can't have Gurario. Gurario is a wedding. Why are you having two weddings? Number two, Gurario is a Kikuyu word that means shedding blood. If I scratch you, I can, sorry. Noagurara. What does that mean? Did the blood come out? So you cannot do Gurario without shedding blood. But the book of Acts says, you don't have to copy Jewish customs. You can go on with your Gentile customs, except customs that involve blood. So you cannot be a Christian and do Gurario. Why? The Bible already is clear about it. Number two, because you're already married in church. Another thing is becoming such a problem, because they do Gurario, they tell you are married, and they tell you the girl is yours. The other day I was talking to a premarital class, and somebody in the class asked, I've been stopped from living with my girlfriend. How long are we going to stay apart? Now I said, what are you talking about? Why did the pastor tell you to stay separate? Was it because of sin? Yes. So how is there a time it will be okay to sin again? Because that's to me for how long? And you know the explanation is, he gave the dowry, they were finally given the girl, and the way those wazels are talking is like the church wedding. You can do it or not do it. So they are married. Until he now came to the pastor said, you are living together before the wedding, you must, if I'm going to marry you, you must go separate ways. And you could see he was not convinced. He was very offended. Surely. And Marete knows I raised this not too long ago in a series of questions. I was dealing with the young person copying Marete. I kept copying Marete about the word of God says, whatever God has joined together, let no man separate. So a Christian marriage is a marriage joined by God. Let me ask you, can an elder represent Jesus Christ? So how can you call yourself married when an elder says the dowry is enough? Isn't that why we go to a pastor? We go to whoever you believe is a representative of God. And when he joins you together, you now believe God has joined you. If you sleep with a girl even on the morning before God has joined you, it is called immorality. So you can see this thing is quite serious. So in the naming, for example, I'm named after my mother. Dungu is my mother's father. But when my mother was beating me, she kept saying, and then I'll be disciplined. What was the message? She's not beating her father, it's just a name. Is just I'm not communicating. So to the Kikuyu, when you name a child the father, it has no meaning. It's just a way of showing respect, it's a way of remembering, it's a way of showing you belong to the clan. It has no spiritual consequence. That's what we believe until recently. Somebody started saying that you can, if you want to give a sacrifice to your dead grandfather, you can give it to the child named after him. If that's your belief, then don't name a child. But if it is just a sign of respect, calling your child Brian, you have no idea whether Brian is a witch. But we are finding it difficult to call your child your father's name. And at least you know your father, isn't it? So I would not find any reason why not to call your son, your father's name, as long as it is simply a sign of respect, a sign of memory, nothing spiritual about it. Have I answered the question? Okay. Now you are on borrowed time, but I think Teresa will allow the last question.
A question about spiritual oneness. Perhaps you can just elaborate what spiritual oneness would mean for a married couple.
I like saying things in three, because the first two are normally very easy to say. The third one I normally find difficult. So I like giving myself a target of three. Number one, spiritual oneness means that you have similarity in all important doctrines. You cannot be spiritual one, and one is speaking in many tongues, the other one finds it noise. There are certain issues that you need to sort out between yourselves. Important doctrinal issues. But I'm talking the wrong group, because you're already married. But if I was talking to single people, that's what I say. There are other issues that are not major. Can you really truly say you are praying if you pray out of a prayer book? That's not critical as long as you sincerely believe in those words. But it still can create a few problems, but it's not as major. So the first thing is, you must study together a biblical study on all important issues until both of you share beliefs on those important issues. Then you can say you have spiritual oneness. Number two, you pray together. You cannot claim to have spiritual oneness when you don't pray together. They say the family that prays together stays together. It is spiritual oneness is ability to talk to God with the three of you. Because in a Christian marriage, Walter Trobisk, who was popular in the 1970s, said marriage is like a triangle. At the bottom is the wife and husband. At the apex is God. The nearer you come to God, the closer you come to one. Is that true in a triangle? I've not forgotten that. We were taught in that. That means if you want problem in your marriage, move away from the apex. Because the further away you are from the apex, the greater is the distance between you and your spouse. So oneness, spiritual oneness, is that praying together, getting close to God together. That will create spiritual oneness. And then finally, spiritual oneness is having heaven as a determinant of what is important and what is not important. You both agree that heaven is so crucial to you, you'd rather sacrifice anything on earth because of what you have in heaven. And that needs to be both of you. Because sometimes that may mean you lose a deal. But you're willing to lose a deal, both husband and wife agree, because heaven is more important. Every decision made with heaven in perspective. That then I can say that is happening and both of you are agreed on it, then you have actually got spiritual oneness. Teresa, we are back in your hands.
What is your view of the modern parents where like me when I was growing up, my father emphasized so much on education. But in our modern society, we are saying that I can diversify my children such that
my children what?
My children, the way that, you see, like me when I was growing up, if my dad told us bring a boy, you know, we used to have a picture time.
Instead of studying?
Yes, you throw it inside. So in me, I feel like there's a part of me that was deprived. So I want my children to be exposed. And like most of us here, even in technology, we came to see that we had jobs. And even recently, there's a trend I'm seeing where even many parents and their children are teenagers are even allowing the children to drive. What do you think about that? Whatever you are deprived.
I'll start with the last.
Yes.
Any parent allowing a child who is below 18 to drive is teaching him to go to hell. But there is no trouble with it because both of them will be in hell. Because you see, let's be clear. The law, if it's not a bad law, when you break the law, if you have read Romans chapter 13, the governor is a servant of God. So when the law says you cannot drive until you are 18, if you actually drive, you are both a sinner and a criminal. The only trouble with this is that it's a father teaching the child how to be a criminal. What will now stop your child after that becoming unruly to the police? You know, I still remember visiting a friend of mine in Karen when our children were teenagers, and he sent the son to buy bread because we arrived without our friends, so we just arrived without announcing. And he gave the keys to the son who was 14 or 15 to go to get bread. And they told him, but don't go to the main road, go to the kiosk nearby. And then he whispered to us, you know, there are no police here. I didn't want to embarrass him, so I didn't comment until the son left. And I told him, do you know what you have just done? If your son ends up in sin for the rest of his life, you will be the parent of the sin. Because we don't fail to drive not to be caught. You know, the definition of sin to non-Christian is if they are caught. A boy will sleep with a girl. If she doesn't get pregnant, you know, the next 3 weeks he is well worried. Are you okay? Yes. I never sin. Because sin is to be caught. But in Bible, leave alone the fact you slept with her. The Bible says even looking at her, that's free. It's not that you are tempted. You have actually committed. Have you read that in the Bible? So can you see the idea of teaching your child that sin is being caught? If you teach him on the issue of driving, you apply it on the issue of sex. And you'll be the one who did it. So a parent who does not train the child, that's what we talked about earlier, isn't it? Do not train your child the importance of relating well with others, including the law. You have taught them a very bad thing. So that's my first point that you need to understand. Number 2, remember I said if you are developing your child, it must be equally in all the 4 areas, not one or the other. So if your father is not other areas, don't copy him. It must be, because the Bible already put it, you have to grow in physically, you have to grow intellectually, you have to grow spiritually, you have to grow socially. So the Bible doesn't tell us one was more important than the other. All of them are important. So as your teenagers become teenagers, you must ask yourself, are they intellectually working okay? Are their bodies physically okay? Each of them must be dealt with, not one or the other. So I will have a problem if there is one part being left out against the other. All of them matter. So to kind of imply to your children that exercise do not matter. Are you reading? Oh, being with friends does not matter. Are you reading? You are not following the scriptures. It's important all of them matter. However, having said all that, my final point is some things matter more at different stages of life. So the education doesn't last all your life. So you need to give more time to education, but at no time will you ignore the other 3. Am I clear on that one? Yes. Yeah, all of them matter, but there are times, like during the exam year, surely he needs to put more effort in the exam for that year, because the 1 year thing, isn't it? So I think that's him there. I don't know if I got your question, whether I've answered it. If I didn't catch it, just ask it again.
Yeah,
I've understood?
yes.
Okay, thank you.
Maybe the last one,
That was the last one. Yours is the final one.
Oh.
personally I'm finding it very difficult whereby the children are able to concentrate on social media, the TV, the laptop. I don't know how we can be able to balance that.
No. Unfortunately, I'm not a good example because you realize your children are, my children are your age.
Yes, yes.
The big thing we struggled with was the TV. But you know the TV in our time, when my children were young, was only available from 4 o'clock in the evening. It was really okay.
Yes.
Used to come at 4 and then Saturday and Sunday. But we still had to make a decision. Because you arrived home wanting to see TV. I made a decision, or rather we made a decision. No TV from Monday to Thursday. At all. That was a very bad rule because me I like watching news. But I could not watch news because you cannot have a rule for others that doesn't apply to the father. So we just stopped watching TV. And then on the weekend, we were not allowed to watch more than 2 or 3 programs. So it means I had to buy a newspaper every Saturday. Then the 3 of them debated, agreed. Because you see, you can't, if they choose different, there have to be 5 programs. So they must all agree, same program. And so they had to watch, then debate and agree. Then without that, the rest of the time the TV is off. One thing you must communicate is that there are many methods of learning. TV is just one. So, like one of the things we did in order to stop that, we just then they started opening. In 1988, I went to Britain for a course, and I came with a video player. So we started going to a library, a Christian library, borrowing videos. So in addition to their new programs, I would have a program, now a Christian program, because I'm only Christian the films and Christian programs in that thing. So I started showing them. So you must have another alternative way of helping them. Number 2, we bought many books for them to read. So it's important that you don't tell people to stop this. You must tell them stop this in order to do the other. But when you find people are becoming addicted and your children are still at home, you are partly to blame. You must, any addiction of any nature is bad. There is no addiction that is good. Even if you are addicted to your wife, it's still bad. Because that means you fail to obey God in order to, then that's addiction. So addiction means losing control. So teach your children, even if it, and that's why we fast. What is fasting? Fasting is, because food is so addictive, is telling food, you are not controlling me. Food from some of the food, both of them will go to hell. Now, that's why we fast. To remind the food, you are not my master, you are my servant. The same thing with you with TV. When you realize it's getting there, you decide for the next 3 weeks, this family will not watch any TV. You are communicating. It's called fasting. You're not saying you will never watch TV. You are only creating opportunity for them to know that they are not to be controlled by TV. I hope I'm communicating. Okay.
We stop at that point, maybe as we take lunch.